Hey, how about that? Right off the bat, a mute. That's fantastic. Everything's going exactly as planned. Nothing's been missed here at all. So this is exactly how it's supposed to go down. Welcome to Deep in the Plus, guys. I'm Rob Whiteside. I'm missing Disney, and I need a haircut badly. So not necessarily in that order. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit or a lot about Disney Plus. Last time we talked about Disney Plus and it being the 6-month anniversary. We went from the beginning through all of the programming that was there. Now we're going to start kind of catching you up on the latest news, everything that's been happening with Disney Plus, and take a look down the road at some of the things coming soon. So again, thank you guys for joining us. So with me tonight, I have Eric Wolf. How's it going, Eric? Are you muted or am
Plus? Am I muted?
You're good.
Hello?
We didn't get to hear you before.
Hello.
So here's a problem. I think that when we're in a single shot, we probably can't hear each other. Is that what you're taking away from this?
So I can hear you now. Can you guys hear me? Yeah,
I can, and it's fantastic.
There we go.
This will be us tonight then, right like this. We're all good. Also, Katie Dunn. Katie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It's flawless so far.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, can you hear me? No? Good or bad?
Cool. I feel like we're like, like there was a TV show Get Smart, and it's like the cone of silence, and when that would come down and like no one could hear anybody at all. I feel like that's what we're going to be doing when we're going to go like solo shot to solo shot. So that'll be fun. But and then also with us tonight is Jill Diffendahl. How's it going, Jill?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm great now. So let's talk about some Disney Plus. I almost want to say, and now the news, but I feel like that's a different show. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit from the top about different news stories that have happened about Disney Plus, because we don't get a lot of chance to talk about that on the other shows we do. Park Center is exclusively about parks. News Tonight, it's a little bit different. So we're going to talk about some of the latest news that's been happening with Disney Plus. So first thing I want to talk about is Muppets. Muppets Now has been announced that it's going to be out on July 31st, and I am extremely excited. I think we all are. I feel like we always talk about that there's not enough Muppets in our lives. But then I went and like kind of dug up some stuff. So if you'll bear with me, I find it interesting that there's been kind of a lot of Muppets actually over the years. So I think we always say that Disney kind of gives the Muppets the short end of the stick. They don't have a really good show. They don't have a really good, other than Muppet Vision, they don't really have a good presence in the parks, but they have Rizzo's and they have, they'd had great moments, but then they also have the new Regal Eagle. So Muppet Show started 76 to 81. Then there was the Muppet Movie, Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppet Babies from 84 to 90, Muppets Christmas Carol, the straight-to-video Muppet Classic Theater, Muppet Treasure Island, and I won't keep going, but there's been a lot of Muppets. So I feel like the Muppets have always been with us, but it's kind of like Weird Al. When he's not around, we go, where's he been? And then he's like, I've been here the whole time. Nobody else has that. No, okay. So with this particular show, I want to ask you, Eric, are you excited about Muppets Now?
I am. I'm extremely excited. I'm actually a fan of what Disney tried to do with Muppets or the Muppets, that like sitcom kind of vibe that they did. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy what the premise seems like it's going to be for this show. So I'm really, really, really excited for Muppets. And like you said, it's just like Muppets have been there throughout my life kind of thing. And it's great to see, Muppets again, or, we're going to see them again.
Okay. So who's your favorite Muppet then?
My favorite, honestly, is Fozzie, and then Kermit, and then Scooter.
Wow. And
Yeah.
thank goodness you had that answer locked and loaded. That's awesome. One of the things, though, about the Muppets is I was excited about Muppets Now. They showed some clips of it, or like kind of the behind the scenes of what it was going to be at D23. But then we heard about this other Muppet show that was going to be coming out that Josh Gad had been working on, and it kind of made me a little sad for what we weren't going to get. And I don't know if you guys did anybody dig into the Muppet show that we didn't get and take a look at that? I'll open this one up.
Are you referring? Is it the weird talk show one that we talked about?
No. That was the one that was actually the one that the not the Jim Henson thing, but that was actually the one that was on the docket for it was called Muppets Live Another Day, and it was supposed to take place after the Muppets Take Manhattan, and so it would be placed in the 80s. And so Josh Gad was supposedly working on this one, and also Adam Horowitz and from like Tron and Once Upon a Time. So this, and also the director was going to be someone who had been involved with Avenue Q. So it was like the perfect lineup.
Yeah.
Because who's directing the new one? It's Kirk Thatcher, correct? I think. And
you're talking about who's directing Muppets Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know he's done a lot with the Henson Company post Jim Henson. Like, I know he worked a lot on, I think, like the really short Muppet specials, like the Wizard of Oz one and the Christmas stuff. So he has history with the company. So it'll be interesting to see like his take on what the Muppets are today. I think I'm excited for it. I'm trying to be positive. I do think the one with Josh Gad would have been cool.
Yes, no, and again, I was really excited for Muppets Now because I do like a Muppets show, and the footage they showed at D23 was funny, but I was just like, well, that's great, but I could have had this. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Rob, did they show anything for that other Muppet show at D23, or was it just Muppets Now?
No, it's just Muppets Now. They I didn't even know that was a thing until actually we broke the story on the blog, and then I think Josh Gad basically had come out and said, "Hey, was going to happen, but now it's officially not going to happen." So I think they had been working on this one. Kind of, it was in in development behind the scenes. So,
gotcha.
So anyway, that's the Muppets thing. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe. I'm very excited to see more Phineas and Ferb coming to Disney Plus and original Phineas and Ferb. But I wanted to kind of brag for a second on something that happened. Dan Povenmire, who was the creator of the show, actually commented on our blog on the article that we did for Deep in the Plus about the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars episode. And I was like, Tom hit me up and Jessica was like, hey, just by the way, Dan Povenmire hit us up on this as like a comment. I'm like, wait, what just happened? So cool. Dr. D posted on our comment, and I was just like, this is incredibly cool. And so the thing that he commented on was the fact that it was Ben and I had been doing the review, and in the review I talked about the fact of why couldn't you get like the actors who did the movie voices to do these voices, especially Mark Hamill, because he's a character actor, he's a voice actor. And that's what he talked about. He said, we were told not to touch these guys because they were trying to get them to sign for Force Awakens, and we were told not to contact them. And he said years later when I reached out or I was at a party. He was like, it was like a soft flex. Oh, I was at a party with Mark Hamill. And he said that he told the story to Mark, and Mark said, well, that's stupid. So it would have been cool to see that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jill,
Mark Hamill does the best Joker voice ever. Not that that's Disney, but Mark Hamill's Joker is the best Joker, like animated voice.
Yeah, we talk about voice work a lot when we're talking about Deep in the Plus, especially some of the some of the old school animated things and these people and the voice work they've done. And again, Mark Hamill, great voice actor, and it just seemed to have made sense. And I was just like, oh, thank you for your comment. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. But it was really kind of cool that he did that. So another article that we had on the blog, some sad news about Fred Willard passed away. And so Fred Willard was Phil's dad on ABC's Modern Family, and they actually wrote him out of the show with a funeral before he had passed away. He died of natural causes at age 86. But he had been in a ton of Disney related things. And Jill, I think you wrote the article for the website.
Yeah, I was covering for Jessica this day, and all of a sudden, actually, it popped up on my phone as a news alert from New York Times or something that Fred Willard passed away, and I thought, oh my gosh, like I need to. Fred Willard absolutely has done a ton of Disney voices, so this is something we need to talk about. And as I started researching just how much Fred Willard has done, he has like over 300 credits to his name on IMDb. Like, it's massive. And just the Disney stuff alone is huge. He has done the voices for The Emperor's New School. And some of these are like, 1 or 2 or 3 episodes with a character that only shows up a little bit. Interestingly, I thought it was Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller's father, passed away earlier in the same week, and they had both done Planes, Fire, and Rescue together. So that was kind of an interesting little crossover there as well. But the thing that I thought was most remarkable, and I actually kind of didn't really realize until I started writing the article and looking at more about Fred Willard, was he had done the voice in WALL-E of Shelby Forthright, who was the CEO of By and Large. And it is the only time a live action person has ever appeared in a Pixar animated film. So he kind of has a little bit of a special claim to fame because of that. But yeah, it was definitely a shame. I love Fred Willard for our Christopher Guest movies, especially. I love those films, but just realizing just how much he's done for Disney, it's such a shame to lose him and the talent that he's brought to so many films that you can now see on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Fred Willard?
Yeah, he was on Wizards of Waverly Place. I loved him in that one.
Yeah, he seemed like such a good guy, and definitely, he's definitely going to be missed. But he, it's so interesting when these people pass away that, a lot of times we don't know them by name necessarily. I mean, I knew Fred Willard by name, but there are some times where, like, I think the most people don't know somebody by name, and then you start to go, oh, he was the guy that was in this and that, and you just see this huge body of work that he had, and it's pretty, it's a pretty amazing legacy to have. Yeah. Next story that I want to talk about, and it's just because I know Jill loves Frozen so much, is Frozen 2. The making of Frozen 2 is coming to Disney Plus. Into the Unknown is what they're calling it. So I find this interesting. It seems like a weird gap between when the movie came out and when the behind the scenes is coming out. I mean, I see you're shaking your head, Eric. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like they're just trying to grab people that have watched that Mandalorian behind the scenes kind of thing, and they're like, oh, that's very people really like this. We can definitely do some more behind the scenes. What's another big property that we have?
Well, and obviously this was stuff they shot ahead of time and that they had on cue. The very first one, when Frozen came out, and it was huge and everybody was, crazy for it, they did on the DVD. I don't know if you guys saw any of this or not. They did a release of this making of Frozen, and they did this huge dance number about this is the making of Frozen. Did you guys see that? And it's like this huge 5-minute dance number, and they're dancing through the animation, and they're like, this is the making of Frozen. And they're like, how did we make it? And then it ends on, they go, we don't know. And they sat down, and that was it. That was literally the end of it. I know, it was crazy. Because again, this was a huge movie. And Jill, you look perplexed.
Just your description of that, because I do tend to avoid Frozen and all things Frozen related, with the possible exception of Frozen Ever After, but that's only because it used to be Maelstrom. But I wonder now, seeing how much people want to consume Disney Plus content, original Disney Plus content. if they're going to basically start sort of building this into everything they create now, where it's kind of like, hey, while we're making this, let's do a behind the scenes thing so that we can, especially if it winds up being popular, so we can kind of quick cut it together and throw it up on Disney Plus as, you know, additional content. That's sort of where I was thinking about this, you know, seeing all this behind the scenes stuff of The Mandalorian, although that seems a lot more sort of planned and scripted a little bit, but I wonder if there's going to be a lot more behind the scenes stuff now, knowing that they can get some legs out of it. And it's kind of, you know, it's basically free content because they're already filming. So why not just have one more guy back there filming and suddenly you've got a whole other series or special or whatever you can throw up on Plus.
When you talk about it that way, I'm reminded of Tiger King and like the whole, like, we're filming, but we're also filming us filming. But you're right. That's, I mean, it is kind of that way. So,
meta.
But yeah. So let's you and me, we'll do Deep in the Plus on the making of Frozen 2. Cool? No. Okay.
You got to sign somebody else up for that one.
So the next thing we want to talk about was what's new for Disney Plus. There was an article about what's coming in June. And obviously one of the big things is Artemis Fowl is coming on June 12th. So, I think we talked about this the last time, you know, whether we were excited about this or not, or whether it was the right thing to do to move it over to Disney Plus. But I'm actually looking forward to being able to see this. I think that I wouldn't necessarily have been really excited to go see it in the theater, but I am going to be excited to have it just drop onto Disney Plus, which I've already paid for anyway. So the other thing that interests me about this is, like, there are things on there that I would have assumed were already on there, like Walt and El Grupo. Like, I feel like that should have already been on there. The Mighty Meds, like, I don't know what was holding that back. I doubt someone was, like, holding on to those rights somewhere for Mighty Meds. Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy. Oh, Eric, what you got? You're like shaking your
Mighty
finger.
Meds.
Like...
Yeah, it was like Mighty Meds was a TV show that crossed over with Lab Rats, and I watched Lab Rats, and then I had to jump into the crossover series, and I couldn't see Mighty Meds, and I was like, this is so weird that they don't have this already on here for you to be able to see both of these shows and then finally be able to see the series of them, you know, forming the team together. So I'm personally glad that Mighty Meds is going to be on Disney Plus finally.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing that we talked about a little bit before, and I know that Katie, you're in California, or you usually are in California, but the Disneyland thing, that there are actually more episodes of Disneyland finally coming in June as well. And I don't know if you looked at that or not. Yeah. So is there anything specific that you were excited about when you looked at that list, or not really? It's not the good stuff?
The Disney, 100%. I mean, I've talked about, I really like Disneyland around the seasons. So just to, like, bring more park stuff on Disney Plus, I love it all the time. Anything they want to add, please do it.
Yeah, and it seems like we talked about before, pretty easy for them to add. Like, I mean, who do they, again, need to get clearance from on that? I have no idea.
I was kind of frustrated to see that there wasn't more of that. I know one time we had done an episode, Rob, where my pick of the week was an episode of Disneyland called The Plausible Impossible, and I started talking about Aristotle and all kinds of nerdy stuff. But so, like, seeing that there's a couple of episodes, like the story of the animated drawing is coming up, it just, I'm so excited that this stuff is coming. It just makes me frustrated. Like, why are they dripping it out, like, one episode here and one episode there? There were so many episodes of this show in all its incarnations, from Disneyland to, you know, World of Color and all of these shows. And, like, I want more of it. Like, this is the stuff I really wanted to see on Disney Plus. And it's driving me nuts that it's like they're teasing us with, oh, you only get a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why that is. I know that we talked on the last episode about the fact that Bob Iger had mentioned, when people were asking about why isn't the entire catalog there, that some of the stuff just wasn't in good enough shape to release. But we know that a lot of this stuff has been circulating for a while. You know, we've seen it either on Turner Classic Movies or it was on the Disney Channel. So, I mean, there's definitely been some of this stuff out there. So I don't know why either. The other thing that surprises me is, like, Tarzan and Tarzan 2. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I assume someone else had the rights to it. But there are a lot of things that are still missing from Disney Plus because of the rights. Like Incredibles 2 is not on there yet, which Onward is. So it seems like it kind of leapfrogged over Incredibles 2. And I know it's partly because of like, hashtag coronavirus. But at the same time, like Incredibles 2, we would just assume is on there, but it's not. The same thing with Solo. So,
well,
I mean, it's coming.
Interesting too, like Maleficent 2 just dropped, and meanwhile, the first Maleficent movie isn't going to be up until I think like October or something like that because of somebody else has the rights. So it's just interesting that you've got these kind of conflicts, and we're going to continue to see that for a little while until some of these contracts play out.
Yeah, and you know what? It is exciting that new things are coming all the time. But at the same time, like I wanted there to be everything old already there, and then the new stuff drip in as it goes along. The stuff that's been in the theaters or on TV or the originals, and I just feel like all this stuff, like they've had more than a year before the launch. After the Fox acquisition, before they launched, they had plenty of time. They could have moved over all this content. I doubt people had 2-year rights on Incredibles 2. I don't know how that stuff works specifically, but I know enough about it to know it's not there. So Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief, was there. It's gone. It's coming back. So again, weird things with the rights. But more exciting is they're actually going to be doing a Percy Jackson series. Have any of you guys read the books?
No, honestly.
I read
Sweet.
The books, but I never followed.
Oh, okay. So
a couple, I think, right? Oh, I don't know that much, but I mean, I read the books. I watched one of the movies. I think there's multiple ones. So I think it'll be exciting to see how they play it into a TV show, especially directed at an audience that has Disney Plus. It should be interesting to check it out.
Yeah, first of all, I like how you waved that off. Like, no, I don't know that much. But so there, it's just this huge library. I mean, the Percy Jackson stories are part of it, and then there's like the Magnus Chase, and there's another series that I've not read them, but my family has. But what I've read about Percy Jackson, like I saw the movie and I thought it was a good movie, but apparently the creator and the original fans of the books didn't like the movie. There were things that were changed for no particular reason. And I think I would assume everyone here is a Harry Potter fan. Yeah. Sometimes that there are things that were like the first book was true to the movie. And when you get nearer to the end, they're not really like things they change for no particular reason, it seems like. So, that's the thing that I think people were like the fans were upset about. So it would be nice to be able to tell the story the way that they intended to tell it. And in this kind of an episodic form of a TV show, maybe we can get the entire series. And because, they're still writing these other series, there could be spinoffs, there could be, one series into the next, like kind of, I don't know, kind of like Star Wars does with like Clone Wars and Rebels and things like that. So I'm excited about this. And the weird thing to me is, so Disney owns this now because they bought Fox, but the books are Hyperion, which was owned by Disney. So I guess they sold off the rights and then basically through Fox bought them back. So I hope they treat it well. I mean, I really do, because it is, I think, a good story, and everybody kind of loves a mythology. So speaking of mythology, I want to skip over what we were going to talk about first and come back to that, because that's going to be awesome. But we want to talk about this Hercules remake because it's bound for the theaters. But I want to ask you about this, Eric, because you did a fan cast of this on your show, correct?
We did. Yeah, we did.
So and I don't know if you'll be able to hear me, but was it? How did that go? And are you excited?
I caught the tail end of your question, but yeah, like I'm personally excited. I have no problem with these remakes. If the remakes are bad, you have the animated movies to look, to watch, and to enjoy. But if by any chance you do enjoy the live action remakes, and then we go. Then you have the animated ones, and you have the remakes. And you guys get to enjoy both. But I'm personally excited for it. My biggest thing is I don't know if it's going to be a musical. The people behind it are the Russo brothers from Marvel.
Right.
They don't seem like musical people. So I feel like if anything, it's going to be very more serious, and they'll try to add their humor into it, but I don't think it's going to be full musical like we know Hercules to be in the animated form. Yeah.
Danny DeVito, what?
I just want Danny DeVito to sing to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I love the original. It's so good. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see what this is. But at the same time, they didn't go as deep into the mythology as they could have, because it's a children's story. You know, in essence, it's an animated feature. To your point, it's a musical. They have to make room for all that. They could really go deeper into mythology and even make a, you know, maybe like a sequel or two after that about it. So, so speaking of remakes, there's also going to be a remake of Atlantis. So we know that the remake of Hercules is a theater movie. I don't know that it tells us, because this is in development, whether this is going to be Disney Plus or whether this is going to be a theater movie. But I'm pretty excited about it, and I know that Jill has thoughts.
I told Rob, I'm like, throw this one to me because I have things I want to say. But honestly, it's funny. So I'm excited about this because I feel like Atlantis is a pretty underrated movie. It certainly has flaws. It's far from perfect, but it's still a really cool story. It had a lot of really great stuff about it. And so I love the idea that it's getting a second chance, or that it's potentially getting a second chance. I think a lot of this is rumors. We don't have as sort of solid sources about the Atlantis remake as we kind of do about some of the other remakes that we're talking about here. But it's funny because this came up a few weeks ago, and when this story got posted, all of a sudden, all of these pictures started circulating on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, of Cole Sprouse cosplaying as Milo Thatch, which is hilarious. I'm a huge Cole Sprouse fan. I used to love, I was way too old for it, but I used to love The Sweet Life. And then I'm, unfortunately, I have to admit, a ridiculous Riverdale fan. But he was dressed. But it's funny because when you go back and source this original stuff, it was his Halloween costume from 2015. So this is like years before, like 5 years ago. So none of this is like legitimately attached to anything about an Atlantis remake right now. Not saying that I think he wouldn't make a great casting choice as Milo Thatch, but it just made me laugh that all of that started circulating again. And I don't think most people who are reposting it realize that it's 5 years old.
So I feel like if they're doing this, they need to somehow weave a role in here for Michael J. Fox, like a cameo. There has to be one, right? I mean, that would be awesome. Yeah, so maybe he could be the crazy old uncle. I don't know. But I think that, I mean, I love this movie, and I think this one and Treasure Planet were good movies. I mean, I think this was a much better movie, but I think they were both good movies, and they kind of didn't get their due in it. It could just be that maybe they were more like, we were expecting princess sing-alongs, and what we got was like straight like sci-fi movies about like adventurers. I don't know where it missed, but they definitely didn't do well at the box office, but they live on Disney Plus, which is awesome. So finally, one last remake, because it seems like we've been in remake mode for a while here now. Robin Hood. So the animated Robin Hood movie with the animals is going to be an actual like live action via like the Lion King, so live action-ish, I guess. When you take a movie and then you animate everything in computer generation, like is it still live action? I don't know, but it's definitely being made for Disney Plus as opposed to these other movies. So anybody have any like strong feelings about this one? No, you're shaking your head no, Jill, like you just don't want it to happen?
I'm scared for this based on what we've seen of Lion King and Lady the Tramp. We see what happens when they try to live action a movie that stars animals. I know these are, Robin Hood's not any more anthropomorphic than Lady and the Tramp were. It just, gosh, I am afraid for this, and I feel like it's going to be cringeworthy. I feel like this is Like I am all about Atlantis. I think that will be that's the perfect movie to reboot as a live action. But
Yeah.
this is not. No, this is not. I don't think this is going to be good. I'm really afraid for this.
Well, I mean, with Atlantis, that's going to give it second life to a movie that we just said didn't really do all that well at the box office or wasn't that well received, and it gives it another opportunity to live on. But with Robin Hood, the story's been told a million times, but the Disney one is a classic. It's beloved. Like that. What was that thing, Katie, in the in the March Madness that kept going through the garden? Like I feel like people kept bringing that up.
It was the UK forest. It was supposed to be in Epcot in the UK Pavilion. There was supposed to be a forest for any like British revolving around British movies. So there was Robin Hood, Winnie the Pooh, Mary Poppins, but I don't think it won in March Madness anywhere.
No, but everybody kept bringing up Robin Hood, so I think it's a very beloved property. So it is interesting that that they're going back to it, and with Atlantis, I think yes, it could be reimagined. With Hercules, if it's not a musical, it's going to hurt Eric's feelings, but it also could be one of those where it could be well received as a different version, whereas The Lion King was seemingly a clone of The Lion King, like just the same movie. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love to be up about everything Disney, that one felt very flat for me, the Lion King one. And I think that's kind of set this now prove to me you can do something better kind of a thing along the way. So without all that said, basically that's the news, and I'm not going to finish with the whole never mind. I want to move on though to an actual discussion topic that I was going to do last week for a bonus round thing. And then I thought really it needs a little bit more time to talk about. And it's Disney Plus synergy. I feel like they do a fairly good job. And then after I kind of did this pitch, I want to go around the horn and hear what you guys have to say. But so I feel like they do a fairly good job promoting it on ABC. Things like the ABC Sing Along went from ABC to the Disney Channel. Disney Plus, and so they're cross promoting there. Every now and then I'll see a little bug in the lower corner on ABC that'll show a Disney Plus logo. Those things are good. There's a kiosk in Disney Springs. I went and rated them for some buttons once. So there's a lot of different. So there's some little things that they do, but I feel like they've got a lot more opportunity ahead of them to cross promote. And I want to start with Eric and work our way around. Eric, what do you think that they can be doing, merchandise, parks, other things that they're not doing already to try to tie in Disney Plus to the Disney universe?
Well, it's funny because I was fortunate enough to go to the Noel premiere at Disney Springs, and they did a really good job with promoting that particular original movie for Disney Plus, but also the little snack area that they have in the middle. They had Noel themed snacks. They had Noel themed drinks. They have things that were very much associated with the movie, and I thought that was very, very cool. But at the same time, that was also at the launch of Disney Plus. So at the time, I thought it was really cool. I thought they were going to be able to do more things like that, but apparently they haven't, and it's really weird to see them not, especially their original content, not promote any of that in the parks, not promote that just anywhere else. I think it's a weird misstep for them to do. I would love shirts. I would love, pins, stuff like that. I think would be able to sell, again, especially with their original content. But yeah, that's what I, think.
Yeah. Jill, what about you?
I think there's so much opportunity here. And to me, this is a place where Disney Plus just has this opportunity available to them that their competitors like Netflix do not have. So even things like, is it possible to give everybody who's like guest within the parks free access to Disney Plus, or you get it free on your resort television, so that you're giving people a taste of it, and then when they go home they want it? Integrating stuff into the My Disney Experience app and the Disney Play app too. You're going through so many of these attractions that have tie-ins or that are based on films that are available on Disney Plus. Can you somehow tie that in so that there's stuff on the Play app showing you like, oh, did you know that Splash Mountain's a terrible example. Frozen Ever After is based on Frozen, and you can watch it on Disney Plus. Taking that kind of stuff and making sure people know that the IP is there and it's available to watch on Disney Plus, so that when the kids talk about, oh, that Frozen sing along was my favorite thing. Oh, well, you can go home and watch it on Disney Plus. I also totally love the idea of merchandise. And I think, again, that's something you could do where if you're coming out of an attraction, the gift shop, make Disney Plus specific merch around Winnie the Pooh, so that it's a Winnie the Pooh shirt or stuffed animal. It's Winnie the Pooh, but wearing a Disney Plus shirt, or Mickey Mouse wearing a Disney Plus shirt. Like, there's so much potential there for merch and tie-ins in the parks to cross promote everything. And I think people want it. Look, me and Eric are both wearing Disney Plus shirts. Rob, you're wearing a Disney Plus hat. Like, people are going to buy this merchandise. So I think the frustrating thing to me right now is like, why are you not making it available? I think Disney is so good normally at capitalizing on people want this merchandise, so let's put it out there so they can buy it. And this is an area where, they're so focused, and understandably so, they're so focused on launching this platform for the past 6 months, but they've kind of entirely missed the merch opportunity that comes along with it, where they could just totally slay compared to Netflix.
Do you think it's a surprise to them that that Disney freaks love to buy merch? Do you think that's a surprise to them?
Right?
Or,
it's apparently a surprise to the people that run Shop Disney, because they have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on the merch. And I wear this hat because it's like one of the only things I have, and I got it at D23, and I have like one pin that's Disney Plus. So like I'm with you 100%. I would totally do that. What about you, Katie? What are your thoughts?
I agree. Jill and Eric, you guys both have good ideas, and I agree with both things that you said. Eric, I do think I'm so surprised that it's not utilized more in the parks, because I feel like when it was first coming out, I saw more. Like at D23, they pushed Disney Plus so hard. And at the beginning, when Disney Plus was first announced, Downtown Disney was handing out pins to every single person they saw. And it's just kind of faded. And I really thought they were going to integrate it more. Like, Disneyland has the Tomorrowland Theater, and they were promoting Onward. And I was just surprised to see, like, why not any Disney Plus original content? Because, first of all, that pulls people in, and if they like what they're seeing, they will go subscribe to Disney Plus. So, yeah, I definitely think in the parks integration, there should be more of that. I also really agree with what Jill said about the Play app. I think Disney Plus is something, like, Netflix doesn't have, viewers can't go somewhere and all, like, relate on the same thing, where people at Disney, like, we can guess, like, half of these people have Disney Plus. Imagine if we could interact, like, oh, you watched this Mickey Mouse short, go here, and, like, just like the Play app. So I think something like that. They have a lot of opportunity. I think they're maybe waiting, or they just haven't, like, realized how to utilize it yet. But I think there's definitely a future for more Disney Plus in the parks.
Waiting for what? They haven't made it. They've made too much money already. They're just gonna like go ahead and say, we don't really. I agree with everything you're saying, and like some of the stuff that it just makes too much sense. Like it, Jill, it being in the hotel rooms when you're there. Like I could see you not doing it with Netflix, because with Netflix maybe you have to pay royalties to those other movie places if it runs a bunch of times, but you own this content. There's nothing on there that they don't own, like that they they spend all this money for this. So it's really just, it's very frustrating to see that, like, that's an easy grab and that they haven't done it yet. Like, why wouldn't they? I mean, they could set it up so you could go and log in with your own password, but they should just give it to you for free while you're there. I mean, they give you all these other Disney channels while you're there, so why not give you this? I like that there's a little like nod to the Mandalorian here and there in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but that kind of could just be like a throw to, Boba Fett at that point. I mean, it's not really, strong, like this is a Mandalorian thing, and the child, I mean, oh my gosh, like, Jill's got that poster behind her. I've got a Yoda behind me. Like I keep calling it a poster. It's a bag. I'm sorry. But so the whole thing with it is like, they've got all these opportunities and it seems like they just keep missing the mark. Now, I'm not saying they necessarily need to make like a Lady and the Tramp live action, like Dark Ride. Although, a Lady and the Tramp original Dark Ride would have been nice along the way. Maybe do some kind of a Noel event in the park rather than just doing a Noel event at Disney Springs would have been a cool thing, because they're doing Christmas anyway. They celebrated it pretty hard, I think. The trees and things that give the impression they wanted you to know it was Christmas. It just seems like they missed a bunch of opportunities with that. And again, especially with the merch, because, it's not like I don't give them enough money, but I'd give them more if it was for that.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see any difference here. So in the whole sort of executive shake, Josh D'Amaro getting promoted to Parks and Resorts, Rebecca Campbell, who was president of Disneyland, is now president of the streaming division of Disney. So we have somebody who is very familiar with the parks now running Disney Plus. So I would like to think that there's a lot of hope there in terms of her understanding the park going audience and being able to see where that synergy can be incorporated.
Yeah, I agree. That's brilliant. I hadn't even thought about that, and I can't wait to see if she steps up and does some stuff, especially, when they do D23, you're in California with all of these stars and you can bring people in for different things. Why haven't they done the Pirates of the Caribbean style world premiere in the parks? Why wasn't there a Mandalorian world premiere in Galaxy's Edge? Why don't they promote that stuff? Because they're spending a ton of money on it anyway. These people would love to come and I think flex and talk about it a little bit. It just seems like, again, missed opportunities all across the place. So let's write them a letter. Let's get this fixed. And then
they watch the show,
Oh, why wouldn't they? So I want to take a quick break. We're going to run a couple commercials and we'll be right back. And when we get back, we're going to play a little game. So hang on, and thank you guys for being with us tonight.
4 panelists, 30 minutes, 1 week in Disney Parks news. This is Parks Center. On Parks Center, the panel and I cover the top 7 Disney Park stories of the past week. From attraction news to transportation scandals to new food and merchandise, we'll cover it all in 30 minutes or less. You can watch us stream live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. at WDWNtunes.com, watch episodes on demand at youtube.com/WDWNT, or subscribe to the audio version of the show on your favorite podcast app.
Pressing Issues is the spin-off of the WDW News Today podcast segment as a long-form panel discussion in which some of the brightest minds of WDWNT analyze the biggest stories of the week and their impact on the Walt Disney Company, its parks, guests, and cast members. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or afterward on the WDW News Today podcast feed.
So welcome back. We were starting a Wigs commercial there, but I don't know if you would be able to hear us when it was playing. So Jill, do you want to talk a little bit about Wigs and what's been going on?
Sure, I'd love to. So WIGS is the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. It's kind of our little special our version of Club 33, maybe. And it offers tons of great content. I know we've got lots of Wigs watching tonight in chat. Hi, Wigs. It's got lots of little sort of extras and behind the scenes stuff. So a couple of the things we've recently added for WIGS members include we've posted podcast archives. So if you're going back to look for any of the Christmas podcast parades, for example, if you're a longtime WDWNT fan and looking for those are out there now available for WIGS members. So are all of our Back to the Future episodes. And again, for longtime listeners, the Super Obscure Show is up there as well. So those are some things you can find. And as you are probably aware by now, WDWNT Live with our twice daily live programming is coming to an end on Friday, but we're still going to do some live shows for WIGS members once WDWNT Live ends. So in addition to, depending on what kind of member you are, you get priority access to games, you get post shows. All members get post shows for News Tonight and Park Center. So lots of great content out there. You can look it up at patreon.com/WDWNT.
Yay. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you, WIGS, who've joined us tonight and who've joined WIGS. We appreciate you watching our shows and sticking with us and through the whole thing. And so thank you again for everything. And for everybody who tuned in this morning for Graphic Time. Those were really fun to do. So thank you guys. Last time we played a game and we had talked a lot about the fact that Fox, do you have your paper? So that Fox was separate. Was not separated on the app from everything else. We talked about that. And so we played a game called Is It Fox or Is It Disney? Because it seems weird that you bought all this content and you kind of mix it in, but you don't really brag on the fact that it's Fox, and it kind of all mirrors in. So that game I thought went pretty well. We had a good time with that one. So I was looking for other ideas for games and decided, let's just play it again. Let's just do it. So write down on one piece of paper, Fox, and write down on the other piece of paper Disney, and those of you in the chat can play along. It was a lot of fun doing it last time, only because I think that we were kind of split on a bunch of them. So it was fun to do. One of the things I thought about doing instead was something that I was going to call Real or Made Up. Is it a real Disney Plus thing, or did I make it up? And one of those was 101 Dalmatian Street. I had never heard of 101 Dalmatian Street, and I thought, well, that's, that would sound like it was made up. And it was literally a show about the 101 Dalmatians all living together in a house by themselves. And the mom and dad were not Pongo and Perdita, but they had a job, and they would leave the house and leave the kids there. And I somehow slept through that one, I guess. But so because of that not being a huge hit, we're doing this one instead. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
So, when I tell you the movie, hold up, and Eric and Katie cheated off each other's papers last time. It was a mess. So just, go with your gut. Put up what you think. So, ready? Fox or Disney? Hold up a piece of paper. Flight of the Navigator. Yes. See, I thought that one might get you. Now you see it.
Oh wait.
Yeah, it's Disney. You got it. No, it was it was Disney.
Was that the Disney Channel movie?
Yes.
There we go.
I knew that was a little bit with you and Katie. I thought it was rough territory about some of that stuff about these. I don't know if they're big fans or not. So, Life with Mikey, the Michael J. Fox movie, Life with Mikey.
Oh.
It is Disney, and Alan Menken did the music for that one, by the way. But again, I think it's sometimes it's kind of tough to if it's not one of those that stands out as a Disney movie. A lot of them are maybe Touchstone, a lot of them are Hollywood Pictures. But Strange Magic.
Oh man! I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, it was Disney. It was a Touchstone Lucasfilms animation movie, but it feels like a Fox movie. I mean, so again, it was something that was through Disney, but it was that's the way that it came through. Underdog. It's Disney. Yeah, it was a live action movie with a dog that was based on the old cartoon, but for some strange reason, I'm not exactly sure what the thought process was behind it, but it was interesting. Peter Dinklage was in it, so maybe check that one out. The Sandlot. Yes, Fox. So I wasn't really sure of that one. How you guys would relate to that one. The Ghosts of Buxley Hall.
Oh.
I feel like you're cheating over paper again, man. Oh, that's a bold move, Tiffany. That's a bold move right there. No, that is Disney. That is a Disney movie. That's deep in the catalog right there. Let's do two more. Hacksaw.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Disney.
You say that, and I just think Sunday.
It sounds pretty dark, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big Business. You familiar with that one? Big Business?
Mm-hmm.
It is also a Disney movie. It was a Touchstone production.
Are those all his Disney movies?
Had Bette Midler. No, they haven't all been. Never Been Kissed. That is Fox. Yes. Okay, let's do one more because I saw one in here that I wanted to do and I thought it was pretty funny. Let's do two more. One is Because of Winn-Dixie.
Oh.
That is Fox, correct. But it had a little dog in it, so I thought maybe that might throw you. The last one, you ready? The Mistletones, a musical.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you guys cheat off Eric's paper? Because he was fast to put that one up. That was actually an ABC Family thing. But yeah, that was kind of hard to do. But anyway, so thank you guys again. What's that? ABC? No,
ABC Family is not one of the choices.
It was made by Disney, though. It was just on Disney, ABC Disney. So
it's an ABC Family Christmas movie. I just watched those.
So you cheated. Okay, cool. Well, actually, you knew. That's fine. Okay,
he's
so
actually seen some of these movies that we just talked about, unlike me.
It just goes to show again that there's such a deep catalog here, right? So there's so many Fox movies, so many Disney movies, so many things we've never even heard of that are still there, yet to be watched. And so I think as we go along the way on Deep in the Plus, we're going to make it our job to watch these movies and then show you, tell you what we think about them and maybe point you in the right direction towards some of the maybe hidden gems that are out there. There was some movie, oh my gosh, and I can't remember what the name of it was. Do you guys watch Rick and Morty at all? There was a new show called Solar Opposites, and they made fun of this movie, and I can't remember what the name of the thing was, but I'll think of it later. It was a very weird animal thing that was actually on TV, and I suggested to somebody that we do for Deep in the Plus, and I said it looked really bad, and they're like, I don't want to do something bad. Yeah, it was very, very bad. Okay, so let's go and talk a little bit about the reboots that are coming. So we already knew Lizzie Mcguire, and we talked about that a little bit. Lizzie Mcguire is on hold right now. They lost their showrunner. They are trying to figure out where the audience is for this. Is it a more mature Lizzie, and does it belong on Hulu, or is it something that is more that they can like tame down to be a Disney Channel and kind of a continuation of the original. But they've announced others. The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. Did any of you guys watch The Proud Family the first time around?
Yeah,
I used to. Yeah.
Okay, so Katie, Eric, let's start with you, Katie. Are you excited about that? I mean, I'm not going to like zoom in on you or anything, but I'm just going to ask you: are you excited about the reboot of the Proud Family?
I think it's a project I'm excited about, just because I grew up watching it. So it's going to be fun to see it back. For sure.
Yeah. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited just because I get excited for these old cartoon shows that get reboots. Because you get to see if they do something new with the animation, if they're adding new characters, trying to get the voice actors that were previously those particular characters and how they sound now compared to back then, if they even get them back, because like DuckTales, they just want all new people. So it's interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that more often. I don't know why they don't go in and do more animated reboots, because, you know, it doesn't matter if people have aged and, you know, to a certain point, they can still go in and still be these characters. So I really feel like there should be more of these animated reboots. The other one that I put on there, which I didn't even know existed, was Doogie Howser is getting a reboot. So it's called, and I'm probably going to butcher this completely, but Doogie Kialoha MD, which is, but it's a little girl instead of a little boy, and she is in Hawaii. But it's the whole thing about a young prodigy kid doctor, which I feel like that story sort of was rebooted with The Good Doctor on CBS. But I mean, that is a little bit different. Were you guys big Doogie Howser fans? I mean, obviously NPH is like, you know, is everything. Like, okay, so Jill, you're raising your hand. Would you, I mean,
I
be
grew
excited?
up watching Doogie Howser. I mean, when Doogie Howser was originally on, was like, you know, primetime television. You come home after school and you watch TV after dinner with your family. That was, you know, back in the day when that was a thing that families did. Doogie Howser was there for me. And so I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like the concept is fine. And I guess it's because Disney owns this, owns Doogie Howser now. Is that, I assume that's what's going on here. So they can reboot the concepts, but I don't know why they make the show, but don't make it Doogie Howser. To me, this is like when they made that new Superman movie and Superman just went around killing a bunch of people. And it was kind of like, that was a good movie if it wasn't Superman. I feel like this could be a good show if it didn't try to be Doogie Howser. I don't know why they have to do that. And especially because I feel like Doogie Howser, the show, was such a success because Neil Patrick Harris is amazing. And I'm sorry, but the odds of whoever plays this girl being as amazing as Doogie Howser is like 1 in a billion. So it just doesn't seem like it's, just set it up as like a young prodigy girl in Hawaii becoming a doctor. Don't tie it to a pre-existing franchise that has so much nostalgia and love and just this huge name attached to it. I think they would have done better if they didn't try to associate it, make the exact same show, and just don't try to make it Doogie Howser.
Yeah. I don't know that NPH is attached to this in any way, shape, or form. And if not, then I don't know why they would call it Doogie anything, because it's just, you know, to your point, it's like it needs to be something different. But I feel like Fuller House was one of the early culprits of this whole reboot thing. And that kind of worked because you were going back to the original cast. You were going back to the original people. Yeah. Who were associated with it. You know, Next Generation didn't pretend like the original didn't happen, and it went, you know, Star Trek went into something, you know, new and different and a whole new cast. So I feel like that's not the same thing. We're talking about shows that were like legit, like rebooted or, you know, brought back to life. So the next thing about that is Hocus Pocus. Like, I don't know, like the original Hocus Pocus feels like it needs to just exist the way it was and not have a new, either a reboot or a sequel. I believe there's a sequel book, but I don't know, does it need a sequel or does it need a reboot? I feel like Eric's smiling ear to ear. What are you feeling?
So I'm smiling, but at the same time, I'm very frustrated. All 3 actresses have numerously, like, I don't know how many times they've said that they would come back to play those exact characters. They'd come back to play those characters. And then Disney's just going to like reboot it with new people. And originally, if I'm not mistaken, this was supposed to be a Disney Channel thing. So it was like, it wasn't even going to be like, it was going to be completely different. And it's like, why? They've stated that they want to do it. And the actress that's playing Mary, I forget her name right now. You already have her in The Descendants. So like, Disney, you're already in good standings with her. Like, what are you doing? Right. So yeah, no, I'm very much just like, if you're not going to do something with the original actresses for this franchise, then forget it. Just keep on going. There's no point.
They need to do the Sanderson Sisters Awaken. Is that what you're looking for? Something like that?
Yeah, I'm like, you can do something, just anything, honestly. Just have the three actresses. Like if they would have signed up for it, then I would have been okay with it.
So there are a ton of rumored reboots because of the just huge catalog of stuff that Fox got, and a bunch of them are family oriented. So I'm reading off the list here: Home Alone, Night at the Museum, The Sandlot, The Mighty Ducks, Cheaper by the Dozen, and Turner and Hooch are all in some sort of development stage. Some of them as a movie, some of them as a series. Like, do we need all this? I mean, there's so much IP already.
This is interesting, the idea of like, I feel like reboots feel so different when you're talking about a film versus a TV show. Like, I'm just thinking how Disney made so many animated series based on some of their classic animated movies, and you had a Hercules series and you had Emperor's New School and so many other series that were based on, and that didn't feel like a reboot. That felt like, here, we know you love this thing and we're going to give you some more of it. So if you're talking about TV series versions of some of these films, I think that could be really fun, especially kind of like bringing them back, or maybe something like Turner and Hooch and putting a little bit more of a modern, younger, fresher spin on it. That could be something kind of fun. But if you're just telling me you're going to remake Turner and Hooch, I don't want that. I'm so sick of just in general Hollywood remaking stuff, and I feel like Disney's already kind of played it out a little bit too much, and I don't necessarily want to see them doing that with their Fox acquisitions either.
Yeah,
but Turner
and I think there's a do what now?
It's going to be with Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. He's apparently signed on to the thing.
Yeah.
No, but I feel you. I honestly do.
So let me ask you this then. So like I think about the series that they're talking about doing, like the Mighty Ducks, I think was listed as like a possible series to do. I feel like that the basic message of that was the underdogs come back and win, and they stretched that into 3 movies. So how that stretches into an entire series, like I'm not sure how that plays out. I would assume Emilio Estevez is available if they wanted to bring him back in to like coach the next generation, like the Bad News Bears kind of a situation. But I liked the movie, and I thought it was neat that Disney bought the hockey team and named them the Mighty Ducks. But I think it needs to live where it does in that time capsule, in those movies, and then for some reason also at All-Star Movies Resort. But the reboots in general, I mean, they have so much IP now, right? So they've got Marvel, Star Wars, they've got Muppets, they've got like all this stuff from Fox, and it just are there different things that we think they should be rebooting instead of what they've got on the docket here, something that makes more sense? And a hush fell over the audience.
I agree. I'm kind of just sick of the remake. Like, I really want to like the remakes. I really do. I love these characters. They're memorable, and like we all love these characters. That's why they keep making them, because we love them. But Disney just going like, oh, we ran out of things to remake. That's why we bought Fox. I think they have so much more ability. I think the series, like Jill said, series are a good idea. I'm like, as a kid watching like the Lilo and Stitch series, like seeing the characters move on, but I hate these remakes. I think Hocus Pocus would be not a success. I think people love that movie because the characters, and rebooting it with the girl from Descendants might be a little different, and no one's going to be like, oh, let's watch Hocus Pocus when it comes around to Halloween time and watch the new one.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, we talked about this before, that there's so much IP involved with the Fox properties that there are things that they could do other than reboot. I mean, they could do experiences in the parks. I mean, so much Christmas IP that they have available to them, so many Halloween IP that they have available that they could do their own thing in the parks. It does seem like that there's a lot of stuff that's out there that maybe they don't need to go and like dig deep into as well. I feel like Home Alone as a movie has already been rebooted-ish enough times that it just needs to, we just need to just love Kevin the way he was in the first movie, maybe a little in the second movie, and that's pretty much, I think, all you need to do on that one. I think a great example of where this, to me, didn't work was we did a Deep in the Plus, Nathan and I, on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the series, like where they recast the entire Selinsky family, and it was just all this madcap stuff that they were doing. It seems like it was, again, sort of to Jill's point about the Doogie thing. It's like it should have been its own show. It didn't have to be Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because they weren't shrinking the kids every week. I mean, that's not how that was working. So, you know, to me, I think that they kind of overdid some of that stuff in the past, and I think we all want original ideas when it comes to the stuff we have in the parks, like a Mystic Manor type of a thing. We all want original ideas when it comes to the stuff for Disney Plus and all the things that they have there too, and we see it. There's good originals that they have out there, and there are a ton of them. You know, maybe they just need to kind of like stick with that stuff and not be throwing like all this stuff out there, and just focus on, like, you know, just bringing back the stuff we love, like Disneyland. You know, Emily was talking in the chat earlier, something we talked about last week about the Resort TV, putting that on there, like just having that stream the whole time. There's so much stuff that they could do outside of this if they weren't working on the Sandlot, the series. So anything else on that before we move on?
I think like sometimes reboots like necessarily do work. Like I really enjoy, I just finished watching seasons 1 and 2 of Raven's Home, and I feel like that actually worked, but again, it worked because they had the established characters. It was the same, you know, the same characters and how we loved them, and it was just a continuation of it. Yes. Instead of, we're going to take this that you guys loved, we'll flip it on its, you know, on its side, and we'll see if you guys like it the same way. And it's like, no, like it works if it's a continuation. I feel, and actually, yeah, that's what you guys were saying with the animated series as well. It's like the continuation is the thing that works because we do fall in love with these characters, but we fall in love with those particular characters. You know, we don't want to see like someone else be that character. Like, no, like the nuances and the small things that particular actor or actress gives to that character is what we love.
Yeah, and animated series are actually easier to get away with that, because even if you can't get, for a lot of things, for a lot of ancillary characters anyway, there's probably not a real hard time getting the original voice actors. And even for the main characters, if it's a big name star, you can probably find a good voice actor out there who can replicate that pretty well. And it's not so much about the individual portraying the character, it's about how the character is written. So animated series, I think, lend themselves to that even more so than live action.
Yeah, DuckTales is a great example of that.
Yeah,
like DuckTales,
I am not a fan of the new DuckTales. I really wanted to love the new DuckTales hard because I love all of those voice actors. Like I have such love for David Tennant, but I can't. It bothers me, and I just wound up going back and watching the original DuckTales instead because I don't care for what they did to the show.
I needed to turn on the hot tape cam on you, Jill, because of course, like, you know, we
hot tape cam. Jill does not like the new DuckTales. I grew up watching all of Disney Afternoon, so I might have a pretty high bar to set in terms of what I was hoping for from a new DuckTales series.
Yeah.
Let me throw you guys a curveball then and ask you about this, because you were talking about the Disney Afternoon and we're talking about reboots and things. Let's talk about TGIF for a second. Did you guys know anything about TGIF? Like, thank goodness it's Friday, where they showed,
Boy Meets World and...
So you had Boy Meets World and Full House was part of that. Sabrina was part of that. But there were some offshoot shows that I had kind of, I guess, I don't know if I had forgotten about or I just didn't know about, or that they were short-lived. But one of them was called Teen Angel. Do you guys remember that one at all?
That sounds really familiar, but no.
Marie McCormick, who played Marcia Brady on the original Brady Bunch, she played the mom of this boy, and he and his friend were sitting in his bedroom in the pilot episode, and the friend dares him to eat an old hamburger, and he eats it and dies. And then he's an angel for the rest of the series.
Okay.
So let me read you the description of Teen Angel. A teenage angel follows a high school boy, Steve Beauchamp, and his recently deceased best friend, Marty DiPolo, who dies from eating a 6-month-old hamburger from under Steve's bed on a dare, and then is sent back to Earth by Steve's guardian angel. Marty's guide is a large disembodied head played by Ron Glass, who identifies God as his cousin.
What?
Perfect for the family to sit around and watch on a Friday night, right? What can we get this rebooted? That's what I'm asking you right now. Can we get a Teen Angel reboot?
Let's not even talk about rebooting this stuff. Why is some of this stuff not just on Disney Plus? Like, so again, I'm going to date myself a little bit here that some of the older TGIF stuff, like when you said TGIF, I wasn't thinking of Boy Meets World. I was thinking of Perfect Strangers and Full House, because again, that's what I grew up watching. And Perfect Strangers is still such a good show. Like, I've gone back and found old episodes and watched them, and I don't know if it holds up, but as someone who watched it when it was originally on, like, I still love watching it again today. And I just love watching old sitcoms. Like, I will sit and watch old episodes of The Golden Girls and Three's Company and all kinds of old sitcoms. So like, I would love to see like Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs was such a crazy show, and like it was so weird and groundbreaking kind of for being a primetime sitcom at the time. Like, that was all ABC stuff. Why is that stuff not on Disney Plus? Is there some sort of battle for rights to that, and with some like obscure, TNT or weird cable network that bought all the rights to this stuff? But like, why is that stuff not on Plus?
I was the same wavelength, Jill, because I was thinking the other day, Mork and Mindy. I was like, I would kill to be able to watch Mork and Mindy. And that was an ABC show, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really haven't delved into ABC stuff and made it a catalog, because a lot of that stuff exists on Hulu. But some of the more family-oriented stuff should definitely exist there. But let me just drop Muppets Tonight was on there. Dinosaurs that you talked about, Jill. There was one more called Aliens in the Family. Are you guys familiar with this one? Mm-hmm. This was also a Jim Henson production. I think this was a Brian Henson. But it was Aliens in the Family. A human and alien raise their respective children in an earthbound marriage. So the guy marries an alien woman, and then they raise their kids together. And so the aliens, like there was a baby who was basically the ripoff of the Not the Mama baby from Dinosaurs. Like, it was exactly the same thing, who was just always getting into little hijinks and trouble and being like snarky. And then there was like a teenage boy who looked very like weirdly formed, and then they had a daughter, and it was Aliens in the Family. Like, again, just for fun, it would be neat to watch this show and have it out there. And to your point, Jill, is somebody fighting them for the rights to these? I seriously doubt it. I wish that I had the ability to pull up and show you a picture of it, but do yourselves a favor, look it up. Aliens in the Family. It looks horrible. I don't remember watching it. There's some little clips on YouTube about it, but so again, I feel like we talked about it last time, we're talking about this time. There's just a ton of stuff out there that they could still put on Disney Plus that they don't, and I don't know that anybody. How hard is it to put one of these old shows on there? I don't know. Like,
and it's weird to me. Like, I feel like this is an angle they're going at right now with some of the advertising they're doing. Like, I absolutely love the commercial they've got out right now. That's like all of these grown-ups talking about, like, I know the Proud Family specifically is one that they mention, and Kim Possible, and all of these adults talking about, I loved this show when I was a kid, and now I want to watch it again, and I want to share it with my kids. And this stuff falls into that same category. I mean, again, it was like Friday night primetime viewing that you watched with your family back in the 80s and 90s. Why is that stuff not not Disney Plus content, that you're still tapping into that same market of there's this nostalgia among people who were kids, teens at the time, and now wanting to watch it again and show their kids like, oh my God, this old show that I used to love, and Balky, and now we do the Dance of Joy, and you can joke about it and tell your kids stories. Like, I feel like that would be so perfect for this, and it's not there, and it's disappointing.
I just want Perfect Strangers to come back just for you, Jill, because you seem so excited about either it's existing or being a movie. Let's call Bronson Pinchot and see if we can get him on board and make it happen. We talked about there needed to be a Fox button. There's already, we talked about some other like buttons that there need to be and whole categories of things. I think there needs to be a Disney Channel afternoon button that has everything, Bonkers and Marsupilami and all of those things in it. And there needs to be a button for TGIF because they were both big things in our culture, and especially the culture of those of us who are Disney fans for life. And so I think it seems like an easy enough thing to do. We just need to figure out who we need to talk to and tap on the shoulder. Maybe it's Rebecca now that she's in charge, right?
Yeah.
I got her phone number. I'll call her up.
Thank goodness. I was hoping somebody would volunteer. Great. That's your assignment. You should call her. That would be fantastic. We're going to do another quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the things that are coming up on Disney Plus. So don't go away at all.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
We keeping you up? Sorry about that. I was trying to talk over the screen that we have for what's coming up on WDWNT Live, and we couldn't get it on there. So let me shoot to it again real quick.
Nope.
So I hear there's something coming on tomorrow called The Wolf Den. Eric, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Do you know anything about that? Do you have any ideas of what that might be? Okay.
Tell me a little bit about The Wolf Den. So tomorrow it's going to be our last show. So what we decided to do was we're going to be collectively creating a fifth Walt Disney World park. But the thing is that there's someone on our WDWNT family that does this all the time. So of course Tyler's going to be joining us for that episode, and he'll be giving us some little pointers and telling us what he likes, what he doesn't like, and collectively we'll build this park.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Wolf Den meets Ride Rehab. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And then tomorrow night, Jill, there's something called Parks, I want to say Central. Is that correct? Parks.
You're fired.
Again? Twice in 1 week. That's crazy talk.
Just from Parks.
So I'm assuming we're probably going to talk about whatever happens tomorrow with the Disney's opening plan, wouldn't you assume?
I don't know how I'm going to get any work done at my day job tomorrow, because I'm just going to be sitting here monitoring our internal WDWNT chat application and our website and Twitter and all the things, just because I am so fascinated at the reopening of the parks, just as like as a Disney fan, primarily as a Disney fan, but also as sort of this grand social experiment happening. And like, we've never experienced anything like this. We've never experienced anything like shutting down and having to shelter at home. And now we've never experienced anything like having to reopen stuff again after months. And I can't wait to see what happens. And then I can't wait to talk about it tomorrow night on Park Center. So I have a feeling that is going to be the vast majority of what we have to say tomorrow night. Yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, they're going to put their plan together for opening and put it in front of the people who can make the decision about when Disney opens. And so I think that we're all going to be on pins and needles trying to figure that out, because like I said, I need some Disney and I need a haircut, and that is in that order. I need to have some Disney very soon. We've got more live programming coming this week, and then on Friday night we're going to have the kind of grand finale of what was WDWNT Live. And again, don't worry, a lot of your favorite shows are still going to continue. It's just the whole 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, 2 months in a row kind of a thing, where we probably need to pull that back just a tad, so that we can get back into the parks and report everything that's been going on, and watch a lot of Disney Plus, and tell you all of the wonderful things that you can be watching, including some things that are coming up that I'm really excited about. And I want to start off with this one, because when I first heard the announcement that Disney had gotten the rights to Hamilton for releasing the original cast recording that had come out, I had not seen Hamilton on Broadway. I saw the touring production of it. It was fantastic. I became so obsessed with Lin-Manuel Miranda, with the music, everything. It was such a good show. And it was one of those things where everybody talked about how amazing it was, and then it couldn't possibly live up to that. And I felt like it lived up to that. So it was an amazing show. And the fact that after that, with all my research, I was trying to find any footage of Lin-Manuel Miranda doing his role, or, just the different people who were the originals. And you couldn't find any anywhere, and I think it was by design that he was smart enough to record this thing, know that it was going to be a big deal, and then release it for sale, and Disney bought it. So I expected a huge theater release for this, which sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. But for Hamilton, I feel like it probably deserved it. So the fact that it's hitting on Disney Plus surprised me. So let me start with you, Jill. What did you think when you heard about that?
Yeah, same thing. I was definitely surprised. I feel like as something that Disney, that was such a huge deal, Disney would have made some attempt to monetize it. And I'm sure they are going to get some new subscribers who are showing up just for this. I think it's smart, because while Hamilton does appeal to a Disney audience, most Disney fans love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I personally, Moana is my favorite modern Disney movie. And so the music that he wrote for that is such a huge part of why I love the movie. So there are Disney fans, but then there's this huge other group of Broadway fans, and even not Broadway fans. But that was one of the amazing things about Hamilton, is that it appealed to so many people who weren't even, your average Broadway fan. So it's got this huge fan base, and I think this is going to pull some of those people in to become Disney Plus subscribers. So I think it's smart in that respect. But yeah, I'm surprised they're not doing more to try to monetize this. But hey, I'm super excited. I'm absolutely going to be there when it drops to watch it.
Courtney in chat said it was originally recorded for the Library of Congress, which makes sense. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, it is, it is something that pretty much anywhere you are in our culture, if you mention Hamilton, people know what you're talking about. They don't specifically think of the $10 bill or the guy that was shot. They think of the play. Or the forefather who, thought up all the wonderful things that they talk about in the musical. So I love how much you learn from the musical. I love the music, the new fresh take on it. Everything about it was groundbreaking. So I think that recording it for the Library of Congress makes sense. And I think, especially with the relationship that Lin-Manuel Miranda has now with Disney, it makes all the sense in the world that this would have come home to Disney, for lack of a better term. And thinking again, the history, the Hall of Presidents, and Walt's, a fascination with Abraham Lincoln, all of this kind of ties in, and it feels right to have it on there. Eric, Katie, any thoughts on it before we move on?
I haven't seen it. I've listened to the soundtrack a couple times. Yeah. I enjoy the soundtrack. I'm not a huge fan of it, kind of thing. Like, so I'm like, cool, it's coming.
I didn't actually listen to the soundtrack before I went because I wanted it to be all fresh. It's kind of like I don't want to see too much of the trailer. I don't want to know all of the story. I wanted it to be fresh when I went, and obviously with it being like a history thing, it's like knowing the story, you kind of we're going to know the story. But I wanted to go in fresh, and then afterwards, like after seeing like all the people like singing along, and when King George came out and everybody went nuts because they knew what was about to happen, like I just was like, I should have listened to the soundtrack before I came here to watch this. Katie, have you seen it?
I've seen it, but not with the original cast. So I'm looking forward to seeing it with the original cast.
Yeah. That should, I mean, again, I think that the touring company I saw, the guy who played Hamilton was probably cast originally as Lin-Manuel's stunt double because he looked so much like him. And I assume that was the thing, is like, that's the, the kind of the process they went through. So I can't say enough about it. I'm very excited to see it. So let me move on to this one because I find this one fascinating. The Right Stuff. This is a Nat Geo thing, and it looks to me like one of the first like Fox scripted pieces that they've put out there. Like a lot of the stuff has been Nat Geo and has been Disney, but this is like Fox. And so with this coming out, I was like, okay, did they buy the movie The Right Stuff and that's why they have this? No, they don't. That was a different company has the movie. So they are doing it based on the book, and it is going to be a TV series. Have you guys looked into this at all? Do you have any expectations of this?
I had no idea personally that this was coming out until I saw the outline that you provided.
And now you just can't wait. I didn't know about, I wasn't really sure about it either, but like, I think that it's a neat idea to do, but I'm not sure, like based on the reboots that we've done and we've talked about, that you wouldn't be just as well served to watch the original movie. But I guess we'll find out.
I think this is going to be far more documentary style. Like I think this is like the original movie was made to be a movie, made to have a story arc, and probably had some things about the actual historical facts of what happened tweaked a little bit, or some things played up and some things played down to make it a more compelling story. I think this is going to be much more about what it was really like, what these astronauts went through, what the public perception was of it. I think this is really cool, and this is one of the things that I think makes Disney Plus, again, a little extra special, that you've got this content that is, it's very historic, it's American, and it's really looking at this time period in American history and looking back and saying space is something, kids growing up, or, I'd say probably 50% of kids growing up at some point or other are like, I want to be an astronaut, I want to go to space camp. Or maybe that's just because when I grew up, Space Camp came out as a movie and everybody thought that was so cool. But even, when we were doing March Madness on News Tonight and talking about, the space pavilion that never was at Epcot, and how much nostalgia and just, fascination people have with that, because it's the final frontier. So I think it's really cool that we're going to have some content like this. And I feel like this is one more thing that ups the game a little bit of what Disney Plus offers and what Nat Geo brings to Disney Plus.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that we talked about Nat Geo a little bit, and Katie was talking about it as well last time, that a lot of the stuff that Nat Geo has brought to us has really been the wildlife stuff. The animal movies, that kind of stuff. So it is interesting to see something a little bit different here. But I think Leonardo DiCaprio is somehow attached to this as like a producer. So it should be interesting to see this one. The next one, though, I want to talk about, I'm pretty excited about. I want to read you the description of this one. It's called Just Beyond, the horror comedy anthology based on the best-selling Boom Studios graphic novel series from iconic children's writer R.L. Stine from Goosebumps. This sounds awesome. And so like I don't know. I've never heard of these comics. Like Eric, are you familiar with them at all?
So no, I'm actually not. I read some Boom Studio comics, but I haven't picked up any of these before.
This is a ways off. This is like fall 2021, but this is something that was recently announced, and I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking it reminds me of this thing that they were supposed to do, and they announced at one of the D23s, the very first one, and it was called like, I think it was called like Disney Double Dare You, and it was supposed to be more of like a scary kind of a like an edgy Goosebumps sort of a thing, but without Goosebumps. Now here we have actual R.L. Stine material that's going to be put out there in this format. I feel like this is definitely something that has been missing for a while. Like, is there anything like this out there now? There's a TV show that Apple Plus did called Ghostwriters, is the only thing that I can think of that's close, and I'm sure, like almost willing to bet no one here has seen that.
Oh.
Right? Okay. So again, this could be something very cool and very different, because I don't think there's that little bit of edge to the stuff on Disney Plus, really. I mean, you've got the Star Wars content and the Marvel content, but there's not that, like, that just kind of like just a little scary type of a thing that's out there, almost like Twilight Zone or I don't want to say Black Mirror, not that dark, but I just mean like that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that this is that kind of a thing, and I'm excited to see this one.
I picture it being like Twilight Zone, Amazing Stories, like something close to that. I think it's one of the I'm most excited for, I think.
I picture it being a little bit more kids oriented, the way Goosebumps was, or it reminds me of the old Nickelodeon show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I kind of feel like it might be a little bit like, I do think it, definitely edgier than in that respect than a lot of stuff on Disney Plus, but I don't think we're, going to get full on like adult oriented Tower or Twilight Zone. I almost said Tower of Terror.
The only thing that I feel like maybe comes close to this is Disney has Marvel's The Runaways, and The Runaways are on Disney Plus now. It started out, I think, as a Hulu series where it's a group of kids whose parents are horrible human beings and they kill people, and these guys have to get together and form a team and fight their evil parents and the alien that runs their cult. It's very interesting. You should give it a try if you haven't. Yeah, it is. But again, it wasn't originally for Disney Plus. It was for Hulu, and then they moved it. I mean, I think it exists in both places now, but they've moved it over to Disney Plus, which, based on things that I've seen about like High Fidelity and the Lizzie Mcguire Show and Love Victor, that they were really trying to stay away from the little bit darker, edgier stuff. And I feel like this one's got a little bit of an edge to it. And maybe they moved it over because it's Marvel, and they have a Marvel area, and they wanted to add this to it. But there was another, it feels like that's sort of this, but maybe not the whole like superhero thing, maybe just a little bit more on the supernatural side. But again, it's about a year away, so we have some time to figure out what's going on with this one, as opposed to Right Stuff, which is happening in the fall, and Hamilton, which is coming in July. Yeah. So speaking of still stuff coming this year, something that they rolled out at the stockholders meeting, which I had no idea which was coming, is the Beatles Get Back from Peter Jackson. They have a ton of never before seen material that they'll be releasing for this. I don't know if you guys are huge Beatles fans, or if this means something to you, or if it's just like sounds like a good idea. What do you think?
I am so excited for this, but I am also a diehard Beatles fan. So they definitely have a target audience, but like to any Beatles fan to hear unseen footage or anything, like everyone's going to geek out about it. Hopefully it's good. I'm excited.
I'm excited that you are a Star Wars Empire fan and a Beatles fan. That is kind of awesome. Like, kudos. You brought up right. That's fantastic. So along the same lines of this, though, there is also going to be a Howard Ashman movie called Howard. And I don't know about you guys, but when I just hear Howard by itself, I always think Howard the Duck. And I need to get out of that, because that's the first thing. So when they announced that there was this movie called Howard, I was like, oh, cool, Howard the Duck? No, and it's about Howard Ashman, which is a great, like, I feel like with Howard Ashman, I didn't know who he was until he was gone. I mean, he was behind some of like the greatest music, of the rebirth of Disney, and he was gone too soon, obviously, and he and Alan Menken were kind of like the next Sherman brothers, and so it's going to be nice to see more behind the scenes of that. I don't know how much more you guys know about Howard Ashman, or but I mean, I'm just like, when I think of Little Mermaid and I think of Aladdin, those are the two that first come to mind with Howard Ashman, and just the lyrics are just amazing. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, music, I think this shines a light on how important music is to Disney films. And, it's interesting because then I feel like that's always one of the distinctions that shows the difference between Pixar versus Disney. But especially, talking about sort of the Renaissance, Disney had quite a bit of a slump in terms of their animated films for a while. And then, starting with Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Aladdin, those were three huge movies that really brought back Disney animation. And so much of that was about the music, and it's music that we still know and love today. I mean, they just, decades later opened a Beauty and the Beast sing-along in Epcot. So it's clear, you can start singing one of these songs and people around you will know the rest of the words to the line, So it's clear that this was so impactful. I think it's great that they're doing a documentary on Howard Ashman. I feel like I feel like the name is just not the right choice, because again, as soon as I saw Howard, I thought Howard the Duck, and then I had to read to realize I was wrong. But I wish they had called it something else. I think they could have done better. But but I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be great, and it's going to be a tribute to him and how much he contributed to this really important time in Disney animation.
Yeah. And I think, again, I feel like the two of them were very much like the modern day Sherman brothers, which we can talk about later. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the first Marvel TV show that's supposed to be hitting in August. Eric, are you excited about this one?
Yes.
And here's the follow-up question is, do you think it's actually going to get released in August because of them like pausing the production for
So I don't know. That's my biggest thing. I don't know. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited for all these MCU shows to just come out already. But yeah, you bring up a really good point about that. And it's very much like, we know Marvel to be very strategic of where they place their movies and how the movies come out and stuff like that. And now that they're bringing in this whole other level of incorporating these TV shows or these Disney Plus shows that are essentially going, from what they said, are going to be woven in between, these movies, and we'll have to kind of see these TV shows to know what's happening in the movies is very interesting. Because like, things are pushed back, so it's like, are the TV shows also going to be pushed back? Because some of them don't even line up. Like, some TV shows are still coming out, and the movie that they were supposed to be followed by isn't coming out for another year. So it's like, at that point, who knows?
Right. We're going to need a whole new map as to which movie we're supposed to watch first and all that kind of stuff. So I think that we talked about this a little bit last week. Like, I feel like this was one of the things, I was going to buy this anyway. Disney Plus was a given, but Mandalorian and Star Wars content and all this Marvel content that was going to be ingrained into the MCU was like, that was the selling point. And we're going to be more like, if this gets delayed, we'll be over a year since the launch of this before we get the first show, right?
Yeah. I
mean, it's just like, I can't even imagine that. Like, it feels like they should have been a little bit more vague about that. But D23, they just kept going. He was out there saying, hey, and you know what else? We got another one. Moon Knight's coming, cool. And we got another one. It's She-Hulk. She-Hulk's coming, cool. And Ms. Marvel, and that's coming. And we're like, oh, cool. There's so many, and none of them exist yet. And so I'm just like, I'm just dying to have it. Like, I need it now. And again, I feel like it may be delayed, which kind of is a bummer. something we talked about last week too, and so I want to throw this one to Katie because I think we kind of touched on it in the beginning, is this Earth to Ned, which you seem to know a lot more about this alien talk show Jim Henson thing more so than I did last week when we were talking about it. I assume you're excited about this?
Yeah, this was what made me want Disney Plus because, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the 3 years, and at D23 they were talking about this, and I was like, that's it, like, sign me up. This show will make me so happy. It is worth the 3-year commitment. And then nothing yet, but now I am so excited. I love Jim Henson. It kind of looks more like a Creature Shop project. I love the Muppets for the Muppets, but I also love the Henson Company, so to be able to see them back doing something new, I cannot be more excited for this one.
Well, and if only they had Aliens in the Family available, you could go watch that to keep you busy while you're waiting for this. But it says Earth to Ned will be a 30-minute comedic series in which a blue alien Ned and his lieutenant interview various celebrity guests. That does sound pretty exciting.
I want this to be a Jim Henson Muppets version of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That's what it sounds like to me, and that's what I want it to be, and it will be so amazing. Also, maybe possibly with like a little bit of Invader Zim thrown in. But this, I actually hadn't heard a whole lot about this, and as I saw in the article, I was like, oh my God, this is something I would absolutely watch, and I think could be like this sort of sleeper, almost like Rick and Morty level hit if they do it right.
And
I think if they do it right is a secret. What were you going to say?
The pictures of the set that Ned is on, it looks awesome. Some kind of wild spaceship. That art sold me. So I was like, yes, I really hope that's what it turns out to be. But definitely what Jill said, this is such a hook for people. This has such a target. People who love Rick and Morty, like any sci-fi fan is going to love this. And Jim Henson, they have so many different ways that people will come and watch this. So, yeah.
I really see it more of as a dinosaurs meets between two ferns, but that's just my hope of how this would come out, especially with the celebrity guest or maybe the Eric Andre show. I don't know, but there's a lot of things that they could do with this one, and it would be really good. So I'm excited about it, and if you haven't heard about it, you can go to WDWNT.com and search Earth to Ned, and it was an article that we posted about back in October. So yes, Katie has been desperately waiting for this one to come around, and it's been a little bit no noise on it for a while, but I think it's still coming. So, last two that I want to talk about. One of them is Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge. Ahmed Best is hosting this, and if anybody hadn't had enough of Jar Jar before, and now here he comes with he's hosting as himself. He's not hosting as Jar Jar, but it's just interesting to me that they would choose him as host. I'm sure he'll do a great job, but it's just it's interesting that that's like the butt of the Star Wars universe sometimes is the whole Jar Jar thing. And then they're like, who should we get to host it? Well, let's get the guy who voiced Jar Jar. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, it could be great. I don't know. It's Star Wars content. I'll probably watch it. Are any of you guys excited about it at all, though? I didn't mean to leave that. I didn't mean you can't be.
No, I'm always excited for game shows. I love game shows. I don't know what it is about me, but I really do love game shows. And I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I've said it before, but I'm excited to see this. I like the Star Wars universe. So if they can encompass the Star Wars universe into this show, then they got me, and I'd watch it.
We need to hang out more, Eric, because you need to like Star Wars. We're gonna fix that. I'm sorry, Joe.
I want this to be like a Star Wars version of Double Dare. I think then it would be amazing. Or even better, but highly, highly unlikely. If anyone ever watched the old Japanese game show MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, where they made them run through these insane obstacle courses. And we kind of had some American shows based on that kind of I think Wipeout was one of them.
Wipeout, yeah.
If this would be like a Star Wars version of that, this might actually be really funny. But I'm taking a wait and see approach to this one because I hope at least if they're going with the Jar Jar angle, then they play it up as kind of a little bit silly and goofy and fun.
So let me get back to this whole thing that, and now that's all I want, Jill, out of this show, and anything less is going to be extremely disappointing. But Eric, you were saying that you like game shows. Have you watched The Big Fib?
I have.
Thoughts?
So at first, because they do like 2 rounds, and at first I was like, oh, this is really just weird, because they have two different people, and one of them is supposed to be lying about the profession or about, whatever. But the first round is someone like clearly doing a character, and I was very confused because I was like, oh, is this what the show's going to be about? But then the second round was actually a little bit more serious. So I enjoyed it. I actually really, really like Yvette Nicole Brown, and she's the host of this game show. So I was okay with it. I think it's fun, And the first episode actually stumped me. So hey.
I liked the show the first time when it was rebooted as Anthony Anderson and To Tell the Truth. It seems very similar, except it's got little kids. So same concept as they come out and they kind of say, this is, I'm trying to convince you I'm this person. And it was one of those, I'm sure it was announced somewhere, but it just seemed to kind of show up on Disney Plus and is there now.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. And of course, Eric was like, ooh, game show. Let me get in on this. All right, so the last new thing that I want to talk about that's coming up was something that was announced, and it's Gaston and LeFou. So this one, the news broke back in March that Josh Gad is coming back to reprise his role as LeFou, and Luke Evans will be Gaston once again, to, I guess, continue this tale. I don't know, are we excited about this? Jill, you seem maybe like you can say something.
I kind of want to see this. I want to see what they're going to do with it. They've never, so many of these, the series that they've done based on animated movies, especially the really big popular animated movies, have been kind of not prequels, but sequels, kind of follow-up stuff. Or a little bit of a different take completely. So I love the idea that this is a prequel. And also looking at these pictures, maybe this is just me being having some wishful thinking about it, but I feel like it looks like Firefly. I love the idea that this could be this sort of Firefly-esque Beauty and the Beast setup, and I want to see that. And I think it could be really fun.
Firefly? What?
See, look at the pictures again. Once I say it, you're going to see it.
Well, first of all, Edward Kitness and Adam Horowitz being associated with anything, and I'm going to be in. I got the chance to meet them. They did Tron, kind of them bringing back Tron Legacy. Obviously, I love that movie, and that was great. And then Once Upon a Time, I thought was a very well done TV show. And so the fact that they're on board with this one, and Josh Gad apparently is also co-writing this. I think this sounds like it could be something. Now, I don't know where it takes place, and I don't think in the article we know where it takes place either, whether it takes place before the events of the movie leading up to how they got together and, how they became best friends and all that, or if it takes place afterwards where kind of it's post the Beast and what happens to them afterwards. I don't know. So it should be interesting to see. Firefly though,
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a prequel.
Okay. The article we had said, will it be the story of how they become best buds, or will it document what Gaston was like when he only ate 4 dozen eggs every morning? So again, it looks like it could be interesting. I'm definitely down with this, and we talked about reboots and things like this, and to me this is just taking, because you have the same actors, this is you taking this story and making a continuation of it, and I'm totally on board with that. Cool. So that's the rundown of the new movie, or the new content that we wanted to look at tonight. But now we want to talk a little bit about the things that are actually on Disney Plus. And we want to talk about our picks of the week. So Jill's got a big smile on her face about this one. I have her on the list first. So Jill, what is your pick of the week from Disney Plus right now?
Putting me first on the list was a terrible move because that just means I'm going to talk more. So my pick of the week is The Boys, which is the story of Richard and Robert Sherman, the Sherman brothers. This just dropped on Disney Plus earlier this week. I want to say late last week, the 22nd. And it was a sort of documentary made in 2009, actually, and it didn't get wide circulation. So it was made by their sons, and kind of gives this really candid, honest look at what their lives were like, where they came from, their relationship, their families, their personal demons. And it's just fascinating. It's interesting to me because it was not a Disney-made film, but Disney picked it up and has put it on Disney Plus. And again, this is one of the things that I love Disney Plus for, is bringing us this content. This movie it came out and it got some really great reviews at the time, but it was more of a film festival kind of film, and not a lot of people saw it. And so bringing it back now, you get to celebrate the lives of these two just geniuses all over again. And we were talking earlier about Howard Ashman. It's funny, actually, Alan Menken is featured in this movie as he comments on what the Sherman brothers meant to him. He had worked with them to some extent while he was working at Disney. But you get to see so much, and even people who love the Sherman brothers and love their music, I don't think always quite really know the full extent of what they've done. I mean, it's everything from, Mary Poppins obviously is the huge one. It's what they won Oscars for. But Parks music, Tiki Room, and even just learning little tidbits. The fact that they wrote Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow for the Carousel of Progress, but they wrote it about Walt Disney. Like, it was kind of a tribute for them about Walt Disney. Watching them talk about Walt passing away, just watching how much they meant to each other, how much they fought but collaborated, and how the conflict between them just gave birth to this great stuff. Also learning this amazing stuff about their lives. Bob Sherman was in World War II, and he was actually among the first Americans who set foot in the Dachau concentration camp, and listening to him and just how he was haunted by memories of concentration camps and being in the war, and then seeing this amazing, just beautiful and uplifting music that came out of him later in his life, and just all these dichotomies, and how they battled their own demons, and they stopped talking for a long time, and their families didn't speak, and their children barely knew each other. And it's just such a great story when you see the face of what they've created in the parks and in the films, and then you get to see all of this turmoil and drama and just humanity underneath it. Just makes it so much more special to me. So I can't recommend this movie enough. Everyone should sit down and watch it, whether you're a fan of the films or a fan of the parks, that Sherman Brothers music. There's also stuff they wrote that has nothing to do with Disney. I didn't realize they wrote music for Charlie Brown movies. They wrote all the music for Charlotte's Web. They wrote all the music for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which wasn't even a Disney film, although it starred Dick Van Dyke. So there's so much that they've had their hands in that touches us, and they're just so they're so representative of American songwriters in the American Songbook, and I can't recommend it enough. It's so good.
Well, after all that, do you still think that maybe we could do a Deep in the Plus on that one?
I absolutely 100%. I could talk 10 times more about stuff in this movie. So we should absolutely do an entire episode on this movie.
Okay, I'm game. Let's definitely do it now. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to Eric. Eric, what is your pick of the week? What are you liking? You got a lot to follow up on there, so make it good.
Yeah. So my pick of the week is It's a Dog's Life with Bill Farmer. Bill Farmer, as Disney fans know, he does the voice of Goofy. He does the voice of Pluto. The show is just so uplifting. Like, honestly, it's Bill just being himself, and he's exploring these different, areas of the United States. As of right now, there's only 2 episodes, and he's going around just learning about different jobs and different things that dogs do. So like the first one, there's I wrote it down here. First episode is whale poop dogs. There's a dog that what her job is she gets on a boat and she basically like finds whale poop in the ocean. Like, it's such an amazing just like thing to think about. And then he learned about like sheep herding dogs. The second episode was there's a dog that's partnered with cheetah. And basically the dog's purpose in that relationship is to teach the cheetah that, humans are okay, to be able to be friendly with humans, because they're in like a zoo setting, and they just need to learn how to do that. And then we learned about like companion dogs. And the cool thing about it, he does also a small segment in each episode that's hometown heroes. And essentially what he's doing is he has people like kind of like send in videos and stuff about their dogs, and he's just highlighting and bringing a spotlight to those dogs that help every day, just humans, which is just amazing. I was really excited for this because of the fact that like I'm a big dog person. I love dogs. In my family, we have two. We have 2 dogs and a cat. But I saw Pick of the Litter as well when Disney Plus launched. And after that, when I heard this was coming out, I was like, oh, this is going to be just amazing. It's just like an uplifting just show, like I said. And Bill Farmer, having him host and having him actually go out and, experience all this was actually a big treat. He's such a sweetheart, and you can tell. And the cool thing about it is the fact that he's going out, because at first I wasn't sure. I was like, is he going to just do like a voiceover? And then we're going to just see like a bunch of dogs and stuff like that. No, he's out. He's out on that boat with the dog looking for the whale poop. He's out doing stuff. So it was really, really cool. And I can't wait for new episodes to come out every week, because it is something that again is just uplifting, and it's amazing to see something like that on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, I love that you actually you don't go deep into the catalog, but you basically will try anything that they put out there just to taste a little bit of it. And that's how you find the good stuff, right? Yeah. That's very cool. So, Katie, I hate for you to have to follow whale poop. So I hope that you have something that's at least equal to whale poop.
Okay, so my pick of the week was Fantastic Mr. Fox. I am a huge stop motion animation fan. I was raised on Tim Burton's stop animation, and I was so excited to see Fantastic Mr. Fox was on the recently added. And I think for any fan who's like watched Nightmare Before Christmas, watched Frankenweenie, James and the Giant Peach is on Disney Plus, Wes Anderson directs this and does a completely different style. It's a different kind of take on stop motion. His like physical sets are much different. And if you watched the prop culture of Nightmare Before Christmas, you have a little bit intake like, wow, that it really takes that much to make a movie like this. So I think I have more appreciation for it now. And watching this again this week, it is such a good film. It has such a good message. The music's great. It's based on the book by Roald Dahl, and then Wes Anderson obviously took over, but there's actors like George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Bill Murray, Jason Schwartzman's in it. It's really it has a good message. It's fun. It's uplifting. Movies like that are fun to watch. It's just a easy thing to sit back and like relax and watch at night. So definitely a fun movie to check out. You're looking for something.
Have you watched Isle of Dogs?
Yes, I love Isle of Dogs too.
Okay. Because you were talking about that. I was like checking all those boxes. You're like, I love this. I'm like, yep, that's the Isle of Dogs. It's definitely a good one. Very cool. So I'm going to finish it out. I just really quick wanted to talk about this short that just dropped this week, and it's called Out. And it's a Pixar Spark Shorts. And it's about a guy who's trying to tell his parents that he's trying to come out to his parents. And I think it is a very unique way to do this because, and it's pretty short, it's only 9 minutes, but it's very unique because he gets to, without giving away too much, he swaps places with the dog. So he basically does a Freaky Friday with the dog, and he gets to see and hear like his parents' thoughts and the things that they're going through while they're trying to understand what it is that he's keeping from them, why he won't let them closer and help and all that. I think it's a very well done story. There is some weirdness with like this kind of spacey cat and dog, that like magical cat and dog that live in this kind of like techno rainbow world, that come down to help with this process and, you know, kind of facilitate the Freaky Friday. But it's definitely a good story. So I would definitely watch this, but also Tyler Mann has written a great article about it on our website that I would definitely encourage you to go read. But after you watch the short, so watch the short first and see what you think about it, and then go read the article on our site, which you should be reading the site every day anyway. I mean, it's cathartic, especially until these Durham parks open back up again. You know, you need to be hanging on every word. So again, just to let you guys know, the WDWNT Live coming to an end, but it doesn't mean your favorite shows are. We still have another. We still have the lineup tomorrow with Eric and the Wolf Den, and then Park Center tomorrow night. We've got Party with Pete on the 28th, and then that night we got News Tonight, and then we have the big recap that's coming for the final farewell on Friday night. So we hope you guys will join us for that. And then also every Friday at 7, yes, 7. We are doing another Deep in the Plus, and this week Allison from Park Center is walking through Pollyanna with me. Pollyanna. I don't know why I said it like all fancy like Pollyanna, but Pollyanna with me. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do for us and supporting WDWNT. Thank you for being here. We love talking to you guys in chat and hanging out with you. It just means so much to us. So thank you for following through all this programming with us. We hope to do more Deep in the Plus lives down the road. So hopefully you enjoy this format as well. And thank you to Eric, Katie, Jill for being here and spending the night talking about Disney Plus, because I could probably do this for another 2 or 3 hours and not bat an eye. So thank you guys very much. Have a great night. Thank you for being here, and stay safe out there.